What would you do if your wedding day turned into a nightmare? Your dream dress engulfed in flames, torched by the one person you'd never suspect. I'm Avery Brooks, and 30 minutes before I walked down the aisle, my mother-in-law set my gown ablaze, smirking as the silk melted into ashes. Was it jealousy, madness, or something darker? Stick around to find out how I turned her sabotage into triumph. And hit that subscribe button to help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. Hey everyone, Avery Brooks here. Let me ask you something real quick. What would you do if your future mother-in-law set your wedding dress on fire right in front of you just 30 minutes before you're supposed to walk down the aisle? No, seriously, picture it. Flames licking up your dream gown, the one you spent months picking out, while she stands there smirking like she's just won some twisted game. That's exactly what happened to me. And trust me, it's a story you're not going to believe until you hear it all. So stick around, because this is how my wedding day in Atlanta, Georgia turned into a total wildfire. And I don't just mean the dress. Let's set the scene. It's a humid Saturday in June 2025, and I'm in the bridal suite of the Grand Magnolia venue, one of those fancy spots in Buckhead where Atlanta's elite throw their over-the-top parties. I'm 25, a small-town girl from the working-class side of the city, the kind of place where folks know your name but not your bank account. I've spent the last 6 years clawing my way up at a scrappy little ad agency, and today's supposed to be my big moment, marrying Ethan Carter, the guy I've loved since college. Ethan's from money, old Atlanta money, the kind that owns half of Peachtree Street and throws galas just to remind everyone they're still on top. His mom, Lillian Carter, never let me forget that I didn't fit into her world. So there I am, standing in front of the mirror, my hands smoothing down the silk of my wedding dress. It's not some designer label, Lillian made sure to point that out 100 times, but it's mine, a simple white gown with delicate lace at the neckline, the kind of dress I'd dreamed about since I was a kid watching rom-coms with my mom. Every stitch felt like a promise, a symbol of everything Ethan and I had built together despite his family's disapproval. My best friend Sophia, my maid of honor, is fussing with my veil, and the room's buzzing with that pre-wedding chaos. Bridesmaids laughing, champagne popping, the faint hum of the string quartet warming up outside. Then the door swings open and in walks Lillian Carter. She's all sharp edges, perfectly styled blonde hair, a navy Chanel suit that probably costs more than my car, and those cold blue eyes that could freeze you mid-sentence. She's holding a silver lighter in one hand and a glass of bourbon in the other, and I swear the air shifts the second she steps in. Sophia mutters, "Oh God, here we go," under her breath, but I just force a smile. "Mrs. Carter," I say, trying to keep it light. "Didn't expect to see you here so early." She doesn't answer. Instead, she strides right up to me, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor like gunfire. Before I can process what's happening, she flicks the lighter and a tiny flame dances to life. "You don't belong here, Avery," she says, her voice dripping with venom. "Ethan needs someone from our world, someone with class, not some nobody from the wrong side of the tracks who thinks a community college degree makes her special." And then, with this smug little smirk, she holds the flame to the hem of my dress. Time slows down. I watch in horror as the fire catches, the silk curling and blackening as flames crawl up the fabric. The room fills with the sharp smell of burning lace, and my bridesmaids gasp, like they're in a horror movie. Sophia lunges forward, yelling, "What the hell are you doing?" But Lillian just steps back, tossing her bourbon glass onto the floor with a shatter. "Now you can't marry my son," she declares, her voice high and wild, almost hysterical. "He deserves better than you. He deserves someone like Charlotte Grayson, whose daddy owns half of Midtown, not a gold digger with a cheap dress." I'm frozen, staring at the smoldering pile that used to be my gown. 6 months of saving, of dreaming, gone in seconds. My hands shake, but I don't scream. I don't even cry. Maybe it's shock. Maybe it's the part of me that's dealt with Lillian's snide comments for years, but something inside me just clicks. She's not done, though. She reaches into her purse, pulls out an old letter I wrote to Ethan back in college. sappy, stupid stuff about how I'd love him forever, and tosses it into the flames. You think this garbage means anything? She sneers. You'll never buy your way into our family with sentimental trash. The fire's spreading now, licking at the antique rug, and Sophia's yelling for someone to grab a fire extinguisher. Lillian turns to leave, slinging her designer bag over her shoulder like she's just finished a business meeting. Tell Ethan the wedding's off, she calls back. He'll thank me later. And then she's gone, leaving me standing there in my slip, surrounded by smoke and stunned silence. I look at Sophia, who's wide-eyed, clutching her phone like it's a lifeline. Avery, what do we do? She whispers. The other bridesmaids are muttering, one of them crying, but I barely hear them. My mind's racing. This isn't just about the dress. It's Lillian's final move to sabotage us, to prove I don't belong. But here's the thing. I've spent my whole life fighting for what I want, and I'm not about to let her win. So what would you do? Run out of there in tears, call off the wedding, and let her have her victory? Or stay and fight, even with the ashes of your dreams still smoking at your feet? I made my choice, but I want to hear yours. Drop it in the comments because, trust me, this story's just getting started and you're not going to believe what happens next. All right, guys, Avery Brooks back with you. So picture this. I'm standing in the bridal suite. My wedding dress is a pile of ashes at my feet. And Lillian Carter, my future mother-in-law from hell, has just stormed out thinking she's won. The room's a mess, smoke's curling up to the ceiling, my bridesmaids are freaking out, and Sophia's still holding her phone like it's about to explode. Most people would have broken down right there, right? I mean, 30 minutes before my wedding, and I'm basically in my underwear with no gown and a mother-in-law who'd rather torch my dreams than see me marry her son. But here's the thing. I didn't cry. I didn't run. Instead, I reached for my phone, and let me tell you, that move changed everything. Let's rewind a bit. I've known Lillian, didn't like me, from day one. Ethan and I met at Georgia State. He was the rich kid slumming it at a public college, and I was the scholarship girl working 2 jobs to pay tuition. She dropped these little digs every chance she got. Oh, Avery, how quaint your little ad job must be. Or, Ethan, don't you think Charlotte Grayson would look stunning at the Carter Foundation Gala? I'm not dumb. I saw the game she was playing. So a few weeks ago when we set up the wedding live stream for Ethan's grandma in Savannah and my cousin deployed overseas, I decided to keep it running a little longer than planned. Call it a hunch, call it paranoia, but I had this feeling Lillian might pull something. I just didn't expect her to go full arsonist. Back to the moment. The fire's out. Sophia grabbed an extinguisher from the hall and doused the rug before the whole venue went up in flames. My heart's pounding, but my voice stays steady as I unlock my phone. Mrs. Carter, I say, loud enough for her to hear as she's halfway out the door. You have no idea what you just stepped into. She freezes, turns around, and that smug smirk of hers falters for half a second. I hold up my screen, and there it is, a live feed of the bridal suite streaming straight to the massive projector outside in the ceremony space. 200 guests, Ethan's family, my coworkers, random plus ones, are watching this whole disaster unfold in real time. And online, we've got at least 50 more people tuned in, including my boss, Miles, who's probably already brainstorming how to spin this into a viral campaign. Lillian's face goes white, paler than her Chanel pearls. What is that? She stammers, her voice cracking like thin ice. I step closer, keeping my cool even though my stomach's doing flips. It's the wedding live stream, I say, calm as you please. Been running for the last 20 minutes, caught the musicians tuning up, the guests arriving, and oh yeah, you setting my dress on fire while screaming I'm not good enough for Ethan. Pretty HD quality, huh? The room's dead silent now. Sophia's jaw drops, and my other bridesmaids start whispering like they're at a movie premiere. Lillian lunges for my phone, her manicured nails clawing the air. Turn it off, she shrieks. You planned this. You set me up, you little... Sophia jumps in front of me like a bodyguard, cutting her off. Back off, Lillian. Everyone just watched you commit arson on live video. What's your next move? Burn the whole venue down? Lillian stumbles back, her perfect hair coming loose, and for the first time I see panic in those icy eyes. She's not in control anymore and she knows it. This isn't what it looks like, she sputters, grasping at straws. I was testing the fabric. Wedding dresses are supposed to be flame retardant, and I was protecting Ethan from a cheap knockoff. It's so ridiculous, I almost laugh, but I don't. Instead, I tilt my head and ask, "Are you sure about that?" Right then, my phone buzzes like crazy. Texts, notifications, all pouring in. Sophia peeks over my shoulder and gasps. "Avery, it's Ethan. He's on his way up here." Lillian's head snaps up and she starts pacing like a trapped animal. "This is a misunderstanding," she mutters, more to herself than us. "I'll tell everyone you got cold feet, Avery. Ethan will be upset, but he'll get over it. He'll see I'm right." She's rambling now, trying to rewrite the story. But it's too late, the damage is done. And not just to my dress. Through the phone, I hear murmurs from the ceremony space. Someone's taken over the live stream camera out there. It's panning across the crowd now. Ethan's dad, Richard, is sitting in the front row, his face like stone. Ethan's best man is sprinting toward the building, and then I see him. Ethan, my Ethan, no longer waiting at the altar. He's running up the aisle, his tuxedo jacket flapping, his face a mix of shock and fury. The guests are buzzing, some standing up, others pulling out their phones to record the screen recording them. It's chaos, and it's all because of Lillian. I turn to Sophia. "Open the window," I say. "We need to clear this smoke. And I need to think." She nods, shoving the sash up while I scroll through the flood of messages. My boss, Miles. "Avery, this is gold. Stay calm. We've got this." My cousin overseas. "Kick her ass, sis." And then Ethan's name pops up again. "I saw it all. I'm coming." Lillian's still muttering excuses, but I tune her out. My mind's racing, piecing together what's next. She thought she could burn me out of this wedding, but she didn't count on me having a backup. Not a dress, not yet, but something better. The truth, live and unfiltered. So here's where I need your input, fam. If you were me, would you let Lillian dig her own grave deeper on that live stream or shut it down and deal with her privately? Would you have seen this coming and planned ahead like I did, or am I just paranoid? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm dying to know what you do because, trust me, this roller coaster is only halfway up the hill. Ethan's about to walk through that door, and when he does, oh, it's on. Hey, it's Avery Brooks again, and if you thought things couldn't get crazier after Lillian torched my dress and got caught on live stream, buckle up. We're still in the bridal suite at the Grand Magnolia venue. Smoke's barely cleared from the window, Sophia propped open, and my phone's buzzing like a beehive with messages from everyone watching this train wreck live. Lillian's pacing the room, muttering excuses about flame retardant fabric that nobody's buying, and I'm standing there in my slip, holding my ground. But then the door slams open, and Ethan Carter, my groom, my rock, steps in. His tuxedo's wrinkled from sprinting through the venue. His dark hair's a mess. And his eyes, they're burning hotter than the fire Lillian set. This isn't just about a dress anymore. It's about family, loyalty, and everything we've fought for. Let's dive in. Ethan doesn't even look at me first. His gaze locks on his mom, and the air gets thick like right before a Georgia thunderstorm. "Mom," he says, his voice low and tight, the kind of quiet that's more dangerous than shouting. "Tell me I didn't just watch you burn Avery's wedding dress on a giant screen in front of everyone we know. Tell me I didn't hear you say she's not good enough for me." Lillian freezes mid-step, her hands clutching her purse like a shield. For a second, she tries to play it off, forcing a laugh that sounds like breaking glass. "Sweetheart, you don't understand. I was protecting you. She's been after your money since day one, and I had to test her, show you who she really is." Ethan's jaw clenches, and he takes a step closer. Stop lying." His words cut through her like a knife, and I swear, I've never seen him like this. 6 feet of fury wrapped in a tux. "I heard everything, Mom. Every word. And you know what? this isn't even the first time. My stomach drops. What's he talking about? He turns to me, his eyes softening just a fraction. Avery, I never told you this because I didn't want you to feel worse. She's been trying to break us up since college. Letters I wrote you, she intercepted. Dates I planned, she sabotaged. I thought I could handle her, keep the peace. But this? He gestures at the charred remains of my dress. This is where it ends. Lillian's face twists, and she lunges at him verbally. Ethan! Don't be ridiculous. She's a gold digger. I'm your mother. I know what's best. Charlotte Grayson's waiting in the wings. Her family's worth millions. Not like this trash who tricked you into loving her. That's when I step in, my voice steady despite the chaos. Lillian, the only one tricking anyone here is you. She glares at me, but before she can snap back, another voice cuts through the room. Deep, controlled, and totally unexpected. Enough, Lillian. It's Richard Carter, Ethan's dad, stepping through the doorway with the venue manager trailing behind him. He's a tall guy, silver hair, always quiet at family dinners while Lillian ran the show, but now there's steel in his eyes I've never seen before. What have you done? He asks, his tone low but sharp enough to slice through her excuses. Lillian spins to face him, her composure cracking. Richard, please. This girl's a mistake. The Graysons are a perfect match for Ethan, you know that. Their family's been in Atlanta society for decades, not some upstart who thinks hard work makes her special. Richard shakes his head, disgust flickering across his face. An upstart who built a career from nothing, you mean? As opposed to you burning her dreams to ashes because you can't control our son anymore? He steps past her, closer to Ethan and me, and I catch a glimpse of something... pride, maybe? In his expression. You've gone too far this time, Lillian. This isn't just about a dress. It's about our family, and I'm done letting you tear it apart. Ethan grabs my hands, ignoring his mom's sputtering protests. Avery, he corrects himself, a nervous laugh slipping out. I'm so sorry. I had no idea she'd go this far. His thumbs brush over my knuckles, and I squeeze back. It's just a dress, I say, even though we both know it's more than that. But your mom just showed everyone exactly what she thinks of us, in front of 200 people and counting. My phone's still buzzing. Text from Miles, my boss, saying, "This is trending. Burn the dresses everywhere." And I realize this isn't just our fight anymore. It's public. Lillian's desperate now, her voice rising. Ethan, you can't choose her over me after everything I've done for you, the company, the legacy. I'll cut you out if you don't come to your senses. That's when Ethan drops the bomb. Fine, he says, his voice steady as steel. Cut me out. I'd rather lose every dime than let you run my life. I'm marrying Avery today, with or without your blessing, and definitely without your money. The room goes silent, even Lillian's mouth snaps shut. I can hear my own heartbeat, and Sophia whispers, "Holy crap," under her breath. Richard steps forward again, pulling out his phone. You don't get to make that call, Lillian, he says. I've let you play queen for too long, but this ends now. Security's on their way. You're leaving. Lillian's eyes widen, and she starts pleading, Richard, you can't. But he cuts her off. I can, and I am. The venue manager nods, radioing for backup, and I realize this isn't just a wedding anymore. It's a reckoning. Ethan turns to me, his grip tightening. What do you want to do, Avery? It's your call. I glance at the ashes, then at him, and something clicks. We're getting married, I say firmly. She doesn't get to win. He smiles, that crooked grin I fell for years ago, and pulls me close. That's my girl. So here's where I need you guys. What do you think? Should Ethan cut ties with his mom for good after this, or give her a chance to come around? And me, should I have seen this sabotage coming years ago, or was I naive to think she'd ever accept me? Hit the comments, because this showdown's just the start, and trust me, the aisle's waiting. Hey everyone, Avery Brooks here again, and if you've been following this wild ride, you know we've hit some serious turbulence. My wedding dress is a pile of ashes. Lillian's been exposed on live stream, and Ethan just told her he'd rather lose everything than let her control us. We're still in the bridal suite at the Grand Magnolia venue. Security's hauling Lillian out while Richard, Ethan's dad, stands firm for the first time in forever. The air's thick with tension, but also something else. Possibility. Ethan's holding my hands, asking what I want to do. And I've got 200 guests waiting outside, watching this drama unfold on a giant screen. Most people would call it quits, right? But me? I'm not most people. Let's get into how we turned this disaster into the wedding nobody saw coming. I look at Ethan, his eyes locked on mine, and say, "We're getting married. Today. She doesn't get to stop us." His face lights up, that grin I love breaking through the chaos. "You sure?" he asks, squeezing my fingers. "More sure than ever," I shoot back. But there's a problem. I'm in my slip, the dress is gone, and we've got 20 minutes before the guests start wondering if this is a wedding or a reality TV audition. Sophia, my maid of honor, steps up, her voice cutting through the haze. "Avery, what about a backup? You've always got a plan B at work. Don't tell me you don't have one now." She's right. I've spent years at the ad agency, juggling temperamental clients, tight deadlines, and last-minute curveballs. Plan B is my middle name. I rack my brain, then it hits me. My mom's dress. She wore it 30 years ago, a simple ivory number she kept in a box under her bed. It's not fancy, but it's hers, and she always said, "A wedding's not about the dress, it's about the love." I turn to Sophia. Call my mom, she's in the crowd. Tell her to grab it from the house, it's 10 minutes away. Sophia's already dialing, barking orders like a drill sergeant, while my other bridesmaids scramble to help. Ethan's dad, Richard, jumps in. "I'll send my driver," he says, pulling out his phone. "We'll have it here in 15. I nod, grateful, and he gives me a look, half apology, half respect. "You're tougher than she ever gave you credit for, Avery." I smile, but there's no time to linger. Sophia's yelling into the phone. "Mrs. Brooks, we need that dress now!" Meanwhile, my own phone's blowing up. Miles, my boss, texting, "Burn, the dress is trending locally. This is pure gold." I glance at the live stream feed still running on my screen. Guests are buzzing, some clapping, others typing furiously on their phones. This isn't just a wedding anymore. It's a movement. 10 minutes later, the door flies open, and my mom bursts in, breathless, holding a garment bag. "Avery, I can't believe that woman." "Here, take it." She unzips it, and there's her dress, ivory, knee-length, with a soft lace overlay. It's not what I planned, not the flowing silk I lost, but as I slip it on, it feels right. Simpler, stronger, like me. Sophia adjusts it, pinning a loose seam while my bridesmaids cheer. "You look badass," one of them says, and I laugh. Ethan's watching, his eyes soft. "You're beautiful," he whispers, and I know he means it. But we're not done. I turn to the venue manager hovering in the doorway. "Tell the guests we're ready in 5 and keep that live stream going. I want them to see every step." She nods, rushing off, and I grab Sophia. "Get my bouquet from the table. Let's do this." The room turns into a whirlwind. Hairpins flying, someone shoving heels on my feet, Richard coordinating with the string quartet outside. I catch a glimpse of the live stream. Guests are on their feet, clapping, a few holding up phones with "Burn the dress" flashing across their screens. Atlanta twitters going nuts, and Miles texts again, "You're a legend, Brooks." Then comes the curveball. The manager runs back in, panting, "Mrs. Carter, Lillian, she's outside, demanding to come back in, says she wants to apologize." Ethan's face hardens and Richard steps forward. "I'll handle it," he says, voice like granite. He heads out with security, and through the window I see Lillian arguing, her arms flailing. "I'm his mother. He needs me," she shouts, but Richard shuts her down. "You lost that privilege today," he says, and security escorts her to a car. She's gone. For real this time. I take a deep breath, smoothing my mom's dress. "Ready?" Ethan asks, offering his arm. "Let's go," I say, and we head out, Sophia and the bridesmaids trailing behind. The garden path to the ceremony space is lined with roses, and as we walk, the live stream picks up every step. Not some perfect bridal march, but a raw, real journey. The doors open and the crowd erupts, not in that polite wedding clap, but a full-on roar. Ethan's gripping my hand, and I feel strength, not just in us, but in everyone cheering us on. The pastor's waiting, grinning like he's in on the plot. "Dearly beloved," he starts, "we're here for a wedding and a hell of a story." Laughter ripples through the crowd, and I glance at Ethan. We're doing this. Burn dress, crazy mom and all. The vows come next, and Ethan adds something unrehearsed. "I promise to stand by you against anyone who tries to tear us down, especially if they're family." The crowd cheers again, and I feel tears prick my eyes, but they're the good kind. So what do you think, fam? Could you turn a disaster like that into a win, or would you have called it a day? And that dress, should I have gone with something else, or was my mom's the perfect move? Hit the comments. I need your takes, because this wedding's not over yet, and the party's just getting started. Hey fam, Avery Brooks here, wrapping up the wildest wedding story you've probably ever heard. If you've stuck with me this far, you've seen it all. Lillian torching my dress, the live stream exposing her, Ethan and his dad shutting her down, and us pulling off a wedding in my mom's vintage gown. We're past the vows now, the crowd's still buzzing at the Grand Magnolia venue, and Ethan's arm is around me as we step into the reception. But this isn't just a happily ever after fade out. Oh no, the fallout from that day kept rolling, and it's bigger than I ever imagined. Let's dive into what happened next, how Atlanta and the internet reacted, and the lesson I hope sticks with you. The reception kicks off in the venue's ballroom, and it's not your typical polite wedding vibe. The air's electric, like we've all just survived a storm together. Guests are laughing, toasting with champagne, and snapping pics with a custom filter Sophia whipped up on the spot, a phoenix rising from flames with "Avery and Ethan" scrawled underneath. My boss Miles is in full ad man mode, filming discreetly from the corner. He catches my eye and mouths, "This is gold," and I know he's already plotting something big. The DJ spins Sweet Georgia Brown, and as Ethan spins me onto the dance floor, I spot Richard, Ethan's dad, working the room, shaking hands, thanking people for staying. It's weirdly normal, except for the empty table up front where Lillian's country club crew was supposed to sit. They bailed after her meltdown, and honestly, good riddance. Midday, my phone pings. Twitter's exploding. Burn the Dress is trending nationwide now, not just in Atlanta. People are posting clips from the live stream, memes of Lillian with a lighter captioned, "When your in-laws go full supervillain," and stories of their own toxic family drama. Ethan's college buddy Jake runs up with his phone. "The Atlanta Journal-Constitution wants a quote," he says. "They're calling it the wedding that beat the flames." Ethan laughs, pulling me close. "Tell them we're just glad everyone stuck around, and real love doesn't burn," I nod, adding, "It's about facing the mess together, not running from it." Jake types it up, and I can already see the headline forming. But it's not all cheers. Richard pulls us aside during dinner, his face grim. "Lillian's at home," he says quietly. "She's locked herself in the guest house, threatening to cut you out of the company, Ethan, unless you fix this." Ethan's jaw tightens, but he doesn't flinch. "She can keep it," he says. "I meant what I said. I'm done with her games." Richard sighs, then drops a bombshell. "I told her she's the one who needs to worry about her place in the family. After today, I'm filing for separation. She's pushed me too far." My eyes widen, 30 years of marriage, unraveled in one afternoon. Ethan squeezes my hand under the table. "Dad's always been the quiet strength," he murmurs. "Mom just never saw it till now." The night rolls on, and Miles corners us with a grin. "Avery, I pitched Burn the Past, Build the Future to the agency. 3 clients already won in. You two are the face of resilience now." I laugh. Only Miles could turn a wedding disaster into a marketing win. But he's right. Something's shifting. Guests I barely know come up sharing stories. A woman whose mother-in-law crashed her reception. A guy whose dad tried to bribe his fiancée to leave. Our mess is resonating, and it feels bigger than us. Fast forward a week, Ethan and I are on our honeymoon in Savannah, sipping coffee on a balcony overlooking the river. We limit phone time, but I sneak a peek. Burn the Dress has hit TikTok with millions of views. Miles sends a video. The agency's campaign launched, featuring our story as a call to rise from the ashes. 3 women's mags want interviews about setting boundaries with in-laws, and Richard's texting Ethan. Your mom's in Charleston with her sister, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. I'm not buying it. Ethan sets his phone down, smirking. She can spin it all she wants. Aunt Claire's the only one left who'll listen. 3 months later, we're at the Carter Foundation Gala, my first big event as Mrs. Carter. Richard's taken over, rebranding it with a new initiative, Phoenix Grants, for people rebuilding after tough breaks. The logo is a subtle bird in flames, and he beams as we walk in. You two inspired this, he says, gesturing to a display. We've funded 20 folks already, single moms, abuse survivors, you name it. A young woman approaches, shy but determined. Mrs. Carter, Avery, I left my ex after your story went viral. I'm starting a bakery now, thanks to the grant. I tear up, hugging her. You're the real Phoenix, I say. Then, Ethan gets a text from Richard. Your mom's back in Atlanta. She's agreed to counseling if I'll talk. We'll see. Ethan looks at me, searching my face. You okay with that? I nod. If she's serious, sure, but we set the terms now. He pulls me onto the gala's terrace, the city skyline glittering below. She showed her true colors that day, he says. But it showed ours, too. Unbreakable. So, fam, that's the end for now. What do you think? Does Lillian deserve a shot at redemption, or did she burn that bridge for good? And me, and Ethan, should we keep this public, help others like Miles wants, or just live quietly? Drop your thoughts below, because this story is yours too. Some flames destroy, others light the way. Which kind have you faced?